You walk out to the backyard first thing in the morning, and before you can even get to it with a bag, your dog has already turned around and eaten it. Right in front of you. Before we get into why, drop this in the comments right now, your dog's name, how old they are, and where in the world you are watching this from. I read every single one, and I want to know exactly who is in this with me today. Subscribe while you're down there too, because you will want the fix I am about to give you. Now, back to your dog. You stand there feeling a mix of disgust and honestly a little bit of panic, wondering what on earth is wrong with your dog's brain that they would do something so stomach-turning by choice. If this has happened in your house, I want you to know something right away. It is far more common than you think. It is rarely the sign of a broken dog, and there is an actual 7-day protocol that resolves it in most cases without a single trip to a specialist. I am a veterinarian, and I have been treating dogs for over 20 years, which means I have had this exact humiliating conversation with pet parents more times than I can count. Let's get into it. Here is the guilt part first, because I know it is sitting heavy on you right now. If your dog does this, you are not failing as an owner, and you did not cause it by being lazy about pickup time in the yard. This is one of the most common behavioral complaints I hear in the exam room, right up there with barking and chewing furniture, and it crosses every breed, every age, and every type of household. The fact that you are here searching for a real answer instead of just yelling at your dog for it already puts you ahead of most owners. The pet industry has an answer for this, and it comes in the form of a very expensive bottle of flavored powder you sprinkle on their food that is supposed to make their stool taste bad enough to stop them. Owners buy it, use it faithfully for weeks, and are shocked when nothing changes. Here is the myth I want to clear up immediately. This behavior almost never has anything to do with taste at all. Selling you a flavor-based fix for a behavior that is not about flavor is exactly why so many of these products fail, and exactly why the industry keeps selling new versions of the same idea every single year. So what is actually happening? This behavior is called coprophagia, and it comes from a small handful of real, separate causes that often overlap, and once you know which one you are dealing with, the fix becomes obvious. Layer 1 is instinct left over from being a puppy. Mother dogs clean up after their puppies in the den for the first few weeks of life, partly for hygiene and partly to avoid attracting predators to the scent. Some puppies simply never fully drop that instinct as they grow, especially if they were around littermates who were doing the same thing, or if they came from a crowded shelter or breeder environment where cleanliness in a shared space mattered even more. It is not a flaw. It is an old wiring pattern that just never got updated, and in my experience it shows up somewhat more often in certain terrier and hound breeds, though genuinely any dog of any breed can carry it forward. Layer 2 is nutritional. If a dog's food is not being fully broken down and absorbed, undigested nutrients can pass through into the stool, and to a dog's nose, that stool can smell surprisingly close to food. A dog eating a poor quality diet, a dog on a meal schedule that leaves too many hours between feedings, or a dog with an underlying digestive issue that is not absorbing nutrients properly may genuinely be seeking out something their body senses it is missing. This is why simply yelling at a dog for this almost never works. You cannot punish an instinct or a nutritional gap out of existence. Layer 3 is behavioral and environmental. Dogs left alone for long stretches, dogs who are anxious, or dogs who were ever punished harshly for having an accident indoors can develop this habit as a stress response, sometimes specifically to hide the evidence before you get home and get upset. In multi-dog households, it can also simply spread as a copied behavior. One dog picks it up watching another, the same way puppies pick up habits from littermates. And then there is the layer almost nobody separates out, and it is the one I need you to actually listen for. If this behavior starts suddenly in an adult dog who has never done it before, especially paired with increased appetite, weight loss despite eating more, or noticeably softer stool, that is not instinct, and it is not boredom. That combination can point toward a real underlying issue, like a parasite burden, a pancreatic enzyme deficiency, or a malabsorption problem. And it needs an actual stool test and blood work, not a home remedy. Catching that distinction early is the difference between a simple fix and letting a real medical issue go unaddressed for months. I want to tell you about a dog I treated named Otis, a 2-year-old lab mix. His owner was mortified, convinced she had somehow broken her own dog, and had already spent money on 3 different bottles of the flavor powder with 0 results. She had also started scolding him every single time she caught him, which only seemed to make him faster and sneakier about it. We ran basic blood work and a stool sample, and it turned out Otis had a mild pancreatic insufficiency that meant he was not fully digesting his food, so a meaningful amount of undigested nutrition was passing straight through him. Once we corrected his diet and added a proper digestive enzyme supplement to his meals, the behavior stopped almost completely within about 2 weeks, because we had actually fixed the reason his body was doing it, instead of just trying to make the end result taste worse. Now, let's get into the 7-day protocol for the far more common cases, the instinct and behavioral ones, where blood work comes back clean. Day 1. We start by tightening the timing gap. The single most effective fix is simply picking up after your dog within a minute or 2 of them going, every single time, no exceptions. If the opportunity is not there, the behavior cannot happen, and consistency here breaks the pattern faster than almost anything else you will try. Day 2. We add a gut support layer at mealtime, a spoonful of plain canned pumpkin or a small amount of plain, unsweetened yogurt mixed into their food. This supports healthy digestion and can reduce the undigested food smell trigger we talked about earlier. Day 3. We start walking on a leash even in the backyard for supervised bathroom breaks, so you are physically present and can redirect them the instant they finish, with an immediate high-value treat and praise for walking away. This retrains the moment from opportunity into a rewarded behavior, which is far more effective long-term than any punishment. Keep the treat ready in your pocket before you even step outside, because the timing of that reward matters far more than the size of it. Day 4. We address boredom and anxiety directly, adding 1 dedicated block of mental enrichment daily, a puzzle feeder or a sniff-focused walk, since a mentally satisfied dog has far less motivation to engage in repetitive, compulsive habits. Dogs who are mentally tired at the end of the day are simply far less likely to go looking for something to occupy themselves with in the yard. Day 5. We quietly remove the emotional charge from the whole topic. Stop reacting with disgust or scolding in the moment, since a strong emotional reaction from you can actually reinforce the behavior in an anxious dog who is starved for any attention at all, even negative attention. Calm, boring, and quiet is the tone you want to project during cleanup from now on. Day 6. We reinforce all of it together. Consistent immediate pickup, the gut support addition at meals, supervised leash time, and daily enrichment, running as one combined routine rather than isolated fixes. Day 7. You take stock. In the vast majority of behavioral and instinct-driven cases, meaningful improvement is visible by the end of this week, and full resolution within 3 to 4 weeks of staying consistent. If you are seeing 0 change by day 7, that is your signal to loop back to blood work and a stool test, because at that point we are very likely dealing with a physical cause instead of a habit. One more piece I have to be honest with you about. Please talk to your vet before starting any over-the-counter deterrent product, because a few of them contain ingredients that can upset a sensitive stomach, and none of them address any of the 4 real causes we just walked through. And if your dog is eating another animal's stool in a multi-pet household, especially cat litter, treat that as its own separate conversation with your vet, since litter and certain parasite exposures carry their own specific risks worth ruling out. We have covered a lot today. The old den instinct, the nutritional gap, the anxiety and boredom trigger, and the one combination of symptoms that means this is medical, not behavioral. My golden rule before you start: do not throw every fix at your dog on day one. Add the pumpkin, then a day later start the supervised leash walks, then layer in the enrichment. Slow, consistent layering works. Dumping everything on your dog at once just creates a stressful week for both of you with no clear idea of what actually worked. If this finally explains what has been happening in your backyard, do me a favor and hit that like button, because it helps this reach other owners who are quietly embarrassed and Googling this at midnight exactly like you were. Subscribe so you catch the next one, and tell me down in the comments, is your dog a puppy still figuring things out? Or is this a new habit that just started out of nowhere? I read every single comment. Go give your dog a scratch behind the ears for me. They are not broken, and neither are you.